understand he could memorize after one glance, but for someone with such talent, Will wasn't making much of it outside of his janitor job. He spent his days messing around, getting into trouble. No goals, no plans, no future. After asking around, the professor finally tracked Will down. But by then, Will had already landed in court for assault. He didn't hire a lawyer, he didn't need one. He had memorized legal codes so well. He defended himself in court, and left the opposing lawyer speechless. It was clear this wasn't Will's first time in front of a judge. The professor was amazed, his admiration written all over his face. But this time, Will wasn't getting off so easy. He was arrested, with a high bail he couldn't pay. That's when the professor stepped in. He wanted to help the young man and see what he was truly capable of. The judge agreed to let Will out on bail under two conditions. First, he had to meet weekly with the professor to study advanced mathematics. Second, he had to attend therapy sessions. Will hated the idea of seeing a therapist, but it beat staying in jail. And soon, he started showing the professor just how brilliant he really was. Any equation, no matter how complex, Will could solve in minutes. Sometimes, faster than the professor could follow. Proudly, the professor placed a hand on Will's shoulder. He saw a future in this young man, but Will was stubborn. He refused to let anyone get close to his mind or his heart. Every time he met with a therapist, he'd find their weak spots and use their own words against them. He pushed every single one to their limit. 5 therapists tried and failed. Nobody could break through. So the professor turned to his old college friend, Sean. Sean was once on the path to fame himself. He could have shared the spotlight with the professor, won awards, built a career. But something happened. He walked away from it all. Now he teaches psychology at a small college, quietly living his life. He didn't want to take Will on, but the professor insisted. Will was a once-in-a-lifetime genius. If they gave up on him, the world would lose something truly special. Eventually, Sean agreed, but Will greeted him with the same cold attitude. Before Sean could say anything, Will walked around the room, inspecting it like a detective. He criticized Sean's book collection, saying he'd bought all the wrong ones, said they belonged in the trash. Then he insulted Sean's appearance, said some pretty harsh things. Sean stayed calm until Will noticed a painting on the wall. It was one of Sean's own works. Will ripped into it, said the lines were messy, the colors made no sense, that it was an ugly, meaningless mess. For a moment, Sean broke his silence. He walked over, tried to change the subject. Will caught it. He sensed Sean's hesitation, and used it, just from a few words and the painting's details. Will guessed it was a gift for Sean's late wife. Then he said,
"You married the wrong woman? What happened? Why'd she leave you?"
That crossed the line. Sean exploded. Session over, he kicked Will out. Will was thrilled. He thought he'd scared off another therapist, but what he didn't expect was that Sean showed up the next week, ready to continue. A week later, they met again by a lake. Will tried to push Sean's buttons again, but this time, Sean said something different, something that would change Will's life forever. Want to know what happened next? Follow me, I'll be sharing the rest of the story very soon.